If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, oh, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm going to stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless this country. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
God bless the USA, and God bless all of us. Welcome to the, what is it, Wednesday, right? It's 3 o'clock. I can't see my day. I believe it's Wednesday here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And another daily All Hat, No Cattle news rodeo being brought to you by, of course, your host, Hat. Welcome, everyone. It is day 2 without sleep, as I'm chatting with Ghost and Trovo chat about that. Programming note, I will be taking tomorrow off completely. No morning show, no afternoon show. I've got to just get away from the computer and let my brain reset. So I'm just going to take a day away. I'll be back probably full of energy, vim, and vigor come Friday. So expect a full day of programming on Friday. But it seems like the right thing to do. Otherwise, I could make myself really sick. And none of you want that, I'm sure. So we will be doing that going forward. All right. So I appreciate, and Ghost backs me up 100%. I appreciate that. All right, good people. Let's go ahead and get right into it. First off, let's pick a good Babylon Bee, and the first one struck my eye immediately. This is, of course, in response to an earlier story for today where, as I understand it, the diaper wearing chief put out a plea to OPEC to help us. But this is the Babylon's Bee take on that from their world section. Justin Trudeau dresses up as a Saudi sheik so Biden will approve his pipeline. And here we have a fit and trim Trudeau in the traditional Saudi dress and a completely supplicant 46 asterisk bowing in front of him. Dateline Ottawa, Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he, him, they, them, dusted off one of his old ethnic costumes today in hopes that President Biden would approve his pipeline. Quote, "Hello, President Biden. Much happy greetings from my Middle East country, good sir," Trudeau said in a meeting with the president today. "I have many great pipeline for you to approve today, sir. And look, I have brought fresh hummus for you to much enjoy with your fine family, good sir." Close quote. Trudeau also gifted the president with some magic legumes and a mystical lamp that he said would grant wishes, though there was a $9.99 price sticker half ripped off the bottom. Biden said he enjoyed meeting with the nice ethnic man and said that he was clean, smart, and articulate. Those are both quotes. Also quoting Biden, "Nice fella. You know, over there in the Middle East, the women cover their hair. How are you supposed to give a good sniff if you can't even see a broad's hair? Very tough countries to live in over there." Close quote. While his pipeline was approved, Trudeau is sadly now canceled for wearing blackface. Not good. Can't put it any better than the Babylon Bee, folks. All right, moving right along to my personal conceit, the market. And I even though the inflation report came out today and we saw another record bout of inflation pop up, it seems that that's good enough for the market to go up into record territory yet again, closing up almost at 35,500. There was a big spike in gains earlier today, and then it kind of settled back and forth with a bit of profit taking near the end. But the market was, the Dow specifically, was up over 0.6%, so a big day for it. The S&P 500 was also up 0.25%. The NASDAQ again falling for the second day in a row, down a fraction, 0.16%. Gold, of course, with the inflation news, making a bit of a comeback. It's up almost 1.4% at $17.52 and change per ounce. Crude oil, though, making a big comeback, now resting comfortably above $69 per barrel of West Texas Intermediate sweet crude, up a full 1.5% over the previous mark. But again, leading the fray is Bitcoin, up a full 2.12% over the previous mark, currently at 46,602 and change per coin, and over $960 per coin rise since the previous mark. So once again, I am not predicting anything. I'm just saying anyone who dollar cost averaged during the downtime with Bitcoin when it was down around 30,000, folks, you're making out like a bandit. Well, last, I don't know. I do not know. But I will tell you this. Looking at the Dow Jones today, the numbers that it's showing, coupling that with the inflation that we're seeing, coupling that with this insane quote-unquote infrastructure bill, which is anything but about infrastructure. 23% of this boondoggle is actually about physical infrastructure. The rest of it is a bunch of left-wing wish list crap. And for some reason, 19 supposed Republicans voted for it, buying a complete pig in the poke and greasing the skids for the $5+ trillion budget. They say $3.5 trillion. No, it's over $5+ trillion budget that Nancy Pelosi is already bundling together with the infrastructure that just passed the Senate. Pelosi is putting all that together in the House for a single vote. So unless 3 Democrats pull off in the House and all the Republicans hold the line, it's going to pass the House, and then we'll have to once again rely on Christian Sinema and Joe Manchin, the 2 purple dinosaurs in the Senate, to help. So that's why I'm not a Republican. I'm a conservative, Christian first, conservative second, but I am in no way a Republican because of crap like this. This is, once again, Republicans giving Democrats everything the Democrats want. I don't get it. I just do not get it. But I'll tell you this. The market may be in record territory now, but I do not see it holding. Inflation is not going to back off Oil prices are going to go all the way back up, and this market is headed for a disaster. And I think the pricing in Bitcoin right now is predicting that. Again, I'm not giving you investment advice. I am not a financial advisor by any stretch of the imagination. The items that I have bought over the last year have all tanked significantly. So I've lost my shirt on a number of things. Not a lot of money, but I have lost money on things that I thought were sure bets. So I would never give anyone financial advice. But I do believe there will be a big market crash sometime this year. We've already seen one. And I fully believe there will be another one that will make that one look like a carnival ride at Coney Island. So we're just going to have to see. We're just going to have to see. All right, moving right along with that great news. So let me find that story about Biden begging OPEC. I heard that earlier today, and I was looking at Fox News just a little bit ago, and I didn't see it. So let me scroll down a little bit here. Let's see here. I don't see it. Interesting. Maybe it'll be on one of the other services, but I do hope to find it. So as I like to do sometimes, I like to do some media news at the front of the show, and here's another CNN debacle looking us right in the face. By the way, I don't know if I'll see it later, but just in case I don't find it, the MSNBC ratings came out, and their biggest shows, Brian Williams, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, and the two other ones, Lawrence O'Donnell and one other one, they've all seen their lowest ratings in both total numbers and in the key demo since anywhere from 2015 to 2017. Massive, massive, massive drops in viewership on MSNBC. And we're talking marquee shows. So that is, and they're beating CNN. I mean, some of the shows, at least on MSNBC, drew over 1 million. But as I understand it, the top-rated MSNBC show from last week finished something like 12th behind the next Fox shows. There were 12 Fox shows above the top MSNBC show from last week. At least 7, perhaps 12. Fox is crushing MSNBC and CNN. Now, of course, you all know we all had a big problem with Fox last year and earlier this year. They did not hold the line very well, but I will admit they've been doing some very good reporting as of late. Peter Doocy deserves all the support he can get. He's doing God's work at the White House, and they still got all the greats like Brett Baer and Greg Jarrett, the legal advisor, and Joe Concha, the media critic from The Hill. He's making a lot of appearances on Fox. He will definitely, in my opinion, be replacing Howie Kurtz as the main media reporter for Fox once Howie steps down. And Howie's not a spring chicken. I'm sure Fox is going to be making room for Joe Concha perhaps soon. And I would be all for it. I think Joe Concha is a real fireball, and he knows his stuff. He is an excellent media reporter and very fun to watch. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, so let's get into this article from FoxNews.com by Brian Flood. CNN has another Cuomo problem as female viewers turn off Cuomo primetime in droves. What, you mean the hunk himself is losing female viewers? Wow. Let's see what we've got here. CNN has long been the only major cable news network without a female primetime host, and now the troubled network is having a hard time finding women to tune in. Getting women to tune in, pardon me. CNN's Cuomo Primetime, with embattled namesake Chris Cuomo, shed significant female viewers following the bombshell report by New York AG Letitia James that declared Chris advised his brother, the governor, on how to fend off sexual harassment allegations. And here is a great picture of the meathead in chief, Fredo, telling the female accusers of his brother exactly what to do. If you're listening, you're just going to have to watch this part to get the joke. Continuing with the article, the report concluded that soon-to-be former blah, 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 blah. Chris Cuomo's role in the scandal presumably irked some potential female viewers, as many turned off the program. Cuomo Primetime averaged 488,000 female viewers on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday last week, the 3 episodes hosted by Chris following the Tuesday Attorney General report, as he took Friday off. The turnout was a 41% decline from the year-to-date female readership of the program, while it also lost 45% of female viewers compared to the same week in 2020. Cuomo Primetime also lost 14% of the female viewers who tuned in during the second quarter of 2021. The troubled anchor also lost significant female viewers among the advertiser demographic of adults aged 25 to 54. Cuomo Primetime averaged 86,000 female viewers in the demo during the 3 episodes hosted by Fredo last week, down 33% compared to the second quarter totals, and down a stunning 56% compared to the 2021 average. And folks, in case you're not quite familiar with media, ratings overall don't really mean anything. The numbers may look good, but what really counts is what they call the demo. The key demo, also known as as I read just a second ago, the people aged 25 to 54. Those are the people advertisers see as having the most liquidity with their income and are most likely to buy based on media advertising. So whenever you hear someone talking about the numbers, and they'll say total viewers, blah, 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 and in the demo, that's what they're talking about, 25 to 54. And to only get 86,000 female viewers in the demo that's giving away advertising territory now. You have to beg people to fill your pauses between segments in order to get something in there other than programming advertisements, which is another way of saying we couldn't get anyone to pay for this part of our airtime. Whenever you see a cable network, or even a broadcast network for that matter, doing a lot of promos for their own programming, that's a sign that their influence among advertisers could be slipping. So that's good news there. That's really good news there. By the way, maybe I'll find it. There was a nice bit where Stephen Colbert, who is a piece of crap. Don't get me wrong. Stephen Colbert is an absolute piece of crap. But he actually pushed Brian Stelter around a little bit last night and basically held Stelter's feet to the fire regarding CNN's ethics problem with Fredo and the LoveGov. And Stelter came back with an answer that was just so pathetic. The ratioing was delicious. Stelter said, well, there's no page in the big journalism ethics book on this. Yeah, that's the media critic for CNN, the guy who complains about Fox every week, saying that there's nothing in the journalism ethics book about a quote-unquote journalism on air in prime time giving advice to his embattled political brother on how to shut down sex scandals. Oh, I guess Brian Stelter and CNN have a different copy of the ethics manual for journalism as opposed to any other place, except for the Washington Post and New York Times, of course. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And of course, Cuomo, Colbert got accolades, which he does not deserve. He actually did his job for a change. I do not believe once that any Democrat or leftist, for that matter, who performs as they should deserves any type of praise. It should just be met with, okay, thanks. That's why it drives me nuts when people give Bill Maher all this airtime when he does something somewhat reasonable on his show each Friday night on HBO. Bill Maher has been part of the problem for 10 years. And now that these policies are starting to look like they're going to hurt Democrats come 2022, now suddenly Bill Maher is growing a spine and pushing back. This is nothing more than politics. It's all it is. If you look no further than Don Lemon last year during one of the handoffs between Fredo and his show, after about 3 months of solid Antifa and BLM rioting all across the country, with literally thousands of buildings being destroyed, or businesses being destroyed, lives being lost, Lemon said, we've got to stop these riots because it's hurting us in the polls. That is a direct quote. I'll never forget that. It's hurting us in the polls. So therefore, we've got to stop these people from being lawless insurrectionists who are destroying every major city in this country, at least those ruled by Democrats, and having their way at a few of the smaller ones while they're at it. That is your Democrat top of the line thinking. Not what's good for the country, what's good for us. And unfortunately, we've got some Republicans in the Senate right now who seem to be thinking exactly the same way. And that is very disappointing. Let's see. So there was a votorama in the Senate, by the way, which is basically a thing where the minority party introduces a bunch of resolutions as they're trying to delay a vote on whether or not to bring a bill to the floor for a full vote. And it's just one non-binding resolution after another. And there were a bunch of ones that the Republicans put out yesterday that actually were pretty good. But again, they don't mean anything. But they did get some Democrats on the record. But unfortunately, they got a couple Republicans on the records, too. Susan Collins voted no against a resolution that would ban targeted abortions for Downs babies. She actually voted no against, basically, selective euthanasia. And I donated to her campaign last year. I did. I sent $50 to Susan Collins' campaign last year. I also sent money to Lindsey Graham. So again, don't do what I do when it comes to money, because I am an idiot. Obviously, I'm a complete idiot. All right, let's move on to the Daily Wire. Here's the story I was looking for. This is the Daily Wire by Hank Berrien from today. Whole new level of stupid, quote. Crenshaw levels Biden for begging OPEC while crushing American oil. On Wednesday, reacting to the news that the Biden administration was pleading with OPEC to increase production while the administration has targeted American and oil gas companies, Representative Dan Crenshaw fired that the Biden administration had reached a, quote, whole new level of stupid, adding it was not just stupid but anti-American. So here's the tweet. Actually, first let's look at the first part of it. We've got a tweet by Javier Blas, blue check mark, and says here, full statement, the White House urges OPEC Plus to pump more oil above and beyond the current 400,000 barrels per day monthly hikes the cartel is already implementing. And it says right there, this is a missive from the White House by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, and quoting, while OPEC Plus recently agreed to production increases, these increases will not fully offset previous production cuts that OPEC Plus imposed during the pandemic until well into 2022. At a critical moment in the global recovery, this is simply not enough. President Biden has made clear that he wants Americans to have access to affordable and reliable energy, including at the pump. Oh my God, these people don't even own mirrors. Although we are not a party to OPEC, the United States will always speak to international partners regarding issues of significance that affect our national economic and security affairs in public and private. We are engaging with relevant OPEC Plus members on the importance of competitive markets in setting prices. Competitive energy markets will ensure reliable and stable energy supplies, and OPEC Plus must do more to support the recovery. So, here's Dan Crenshaw's tweet. Reaching a whole new level of stupid, the Biden administration asks OPEC, parenthetically foreign oil, to increase production while making every possible attempt to destroy cleaner American oil and gas. Not just stupid, but anti-American. God. Name one thing this administration has touched that hasn't turned to shit. One thing. I mean, in January, China beat us over the head with a stick that we brought on our own soil. The Democrats were so set on promoting BLM above and beyond anything beyond reasonable. Not that BLM was ever reasonable. It was all based on lies and Marxism. But the Democrats loved it anyway. And so they promoted BLM to the hilt. And so then China walks into Alaska and says, hey, you guys can't complain about us and the Uyghurs or the Tibetans or the non-Han Chinese when you're obviously more racist than we are. Look at BLM. That's a quote. Look at BLM. You guys have got your problems with them. You don't have any room to talk to us about race relations, about human rights. And Blinken, Secretary of State, former failed pop star wannabe, swear to God, the guy cut an album. Him and his folks just stood there and took it. Just sat there and took it, including a staffer with purple hair. Actually, purple and gray hair. A State Department staffer at a international level meeting with our major economic, political, and military rival with pink and gray hair. And we think we're going to be taken seriously on the world stage. And what did Blinken say over and over again? America's back. America's back. No. America is supplicating itself to the world again, just like it did when Obama was running the country, as opposed to when Trump was in office, and he actually made the world stand up, take notice, and play by our rules, or they weren't going to get the money they wanted. But we were told that people were laughing at us behind our back. I don't remember Trump wandering away from his table during the G7 summit and having to have his wife run across the patio and grab him as people laughed as she said, "This way, Joe, this way," and he addled off. Don't remember that ever happening to Trump in front of the world leaders. I also don't remember Trump urging Boris Johnson to reintroduce the president of South Africa literally 10 seconds after the president of South Africa had been introduced by Boris Johnson. Either that was a full short-term memory loss, or Biden did not know who that was. Either way, not a great look for America, Joe. Not a great look for America. Let's see. All right. Oh, yeah. A little critical race theory here for you. Here's a picture from the battle days with the sign designating a white and colored section at a public building in the South back in the day. And this article in the Daily Wire by Chrissy Clark. Black parent outraged after learning Atlanta elementary school segregated classes by race. According to a report from WSB-TV Atlanta, black mother Keila Posey uncovered that the school's principal was segregating classes based on race when she insisted that her child be moved to a different classroom. The principal, Sharon Briscoe, told Posey that her child would be, quote, isolated in the desired classroom because it wasn't a, quote, black class. Quoting Posey, the principal said, "That's not one of the black classes." And I immediately said, "What does that mean?" I was confused. I asked for more clarification. I was like, "We have those in this school?" And she proceeded to say that, yes, quote, "I have decided that I'm going to place all the black students in 2 classes." Close quote. Posey claims that the elementary school created 8 classes, 2 for black students and 6 for white students. Quote, "We lost sleep trying to figure this out. Like, why would a person do this? First, it was just disbelief that I was having this conversation in 2020 with a person that looks just like me, a black woman. It's segregating classrooms. You cannot segregate classrooms. You can't do it." The mother also called the practice illegal and unethical, both quotes. Posey has since filed a discrimination complaint with the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights. Oh, fat chance there. The OCR at the Department of Ed is actually for critical race theory, ma'am, so best of luck on your complaint. But anyway, her complaint argues that the school violated Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which claims that, quote, "No person in the U.S. shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Close quote. And as I just said, the fate of a discrimination complaint of this nature remains unclear, given that it was turned into Biden's Department of Education. The Senate Education Committee has held hearings with Biden's nominees to lead the OCR. Catherine Lehman, with Biden's nominee to lead the OCR, Catherine Lehman, during her hearing, Lehman refused to answer whether it would be, quote, "a violation of Title VI to ascribe character traits, values, moral and ethical codes, privileges, status, or beliefs to a race or to an individual solely because of his or her race," close quote. And as I've said over and over again, all of the Biden nominees for positions in the cabinet and other federal agencies, and YouTube, shut me off if you want to, I don't give a damn, I'm leaving at the end of August anyway. They've all been either or, diversity hires, and Marxists. Another phrase that I've used is bomb throwers. And many of them are both. Look no further than the head of the Department of Homeland Security, the agency that is the overseer of every office that's in charge of the security of the United States, from intelligence to the borders. And he has done everything wrong. Not just wrong, though. He has abrogated every responsibility he has from his oath of office. He has destroyed the borders. He has destroyed ICE. He has politicized the intelligence communities. He's going to be impeached. There is already people drawing up articles on him. He hasn't even been in office 9 months. By the way, his report on whether or not the border wall should have continued to be built was due exactly 6 months ago, just in case you were wondering. Continuing with the article, the Biden department has similarly reversed course on a Trump-era ruling that found racial, quote, affinity groups to be a form of segregation. Affinity groups, which could be used to justify racially segregated classes, separate students and staff by race in hopes of giving black people a, quote, safe space, a term I hate, to discuss their experiences with racism while providing a separate space for white people to learn about their, again quoting, white privilege. And hello, the land of 420. It has been a while. or at least my memory is so bad that I don't remember from a previous day. But it is very nice to see you. I didn't see you sneak in. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. All right. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Let's get a couple more from the Daily Wire here. Oh yeah, this is of course very very heartening, and makes your trust in the American federal system even stronger. Biden was asked recently if he was going to do something about DeSantis and Abbott, the governors of Florida and Texas, respectively, declaring that mask mandates in schools would be against state law, and there would be penalties for doing so. DeSantis has already said that if a school district in Florida imposes a mask mandate, he will cut off state funds to the school district. And Abbott has not been as strenuous, of course, but he said there would be no mask mandates in schools. And then the Dallas County Public School District, the largest school district in Texas, it encompasses not just the Dallas area but the Fort Worth area. I'm sorry, Dallas ISD, not county, Dallas ISD. They said, yeah, we're going to have mask mandates. And so far, Abbott hasn't said a word. I guess AG Paxton is supposedly drawing up a suit to be brought against Dallas ISD, but I haven't heard any more than that it's in the works at present. And again, Abbott is on thin ice for re-election. Trump backed him last year when Abbott announced he wanted a second term, but Abbott has fallen down repeatedly on his handling of the pandemic in Texas, and he has gotten a lot of people mad. And again, I'm not even mentioning the Valentine's Day freeze, when dozens of people died from hypothermia because the Texas power grid collapsed under a storm that something very similar had happened just 12 years previously, and the state did not do anything to winterize its grid. And remember, Texas does not connect its grid to anywhere else in the country. It is solely a Texas grid. So when their power station started shutting down by like a nuclear reactor not being able to draw water to cool the core because one of the sensors froze, thereby shutting it down. The water intake sensor froze. The water was still there, but the intake sensor froze, and since it could no longer meter its inflow of water to cool the reactor, it shut down. And that took a big chunk of that area's electrical grid right offline. Many coal plants locked up too, and oil plants as well. And of course, the wind and solar. Solar doesn't work in cold weather, folks. It just doesn't. And the wind turbines, they weren't winterized, and so many of them froze. And it was a complete disaster. And again, dozens of people died. And those who were able to get power were seeing electrical bills of $6,000 and $7,000 for the week. Money being drained right out of their accounts through direct withdrawals by their local electrical co-ops. And the state ruled that they have to pay. Land of 420 says, hail. I did actually have a thunderstorm today and yesterday, but no hail. No hail. But anyway, so as I was saying, mask mandates. So a reporter, quite helpfully, as always, gave Biden a softball and asked him basically, hey, since DeSantis and Abbott are killing kids by not forcing them to wear masks, are you going to do anything about it? Can you do something federally? It amazes me how the media in this country see themselves as the arbiters of policy now. It just astounds me that they feel with impunity they can ask the president to basically, here's how we want you to perform retribution against your political opponents. So we're going to give you an opening to discuss it without making you do it outright. Now it can look like you're answering a question as opposed to just coming down from on high and saying, okay, folks, this is how it's going to be. It's happened time and time again with this administration, and it drives me absolutely crazy. But so Biden was asked if he could create a federal mask mandate. Of course, Biden said on the campaign that he couldn't do that. Biden said also during the campaign that he wouldn't trust the Trump vaccine. So did Harris. I guess Psaki got asked that question today, and she danced around it. But now Biden says that he's checking. That's a quote. He's checking to see if he can, in fact, order a federal mask mandate across the country. He said, I know I can do it for federal workers, and we're looking in to see if we can do it nationally. Now, you may say to yourself, well, he'll figure out that it's unconstitutional, that we have such a thing as federalism and states' rights, the 14th Amendment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the thing. Biden also said, not 10 days ago, that he didn't have the constitutional authority to extend the rent holiday / eviction moratorium. And then a week later, he did just that. Because AOC and Cori Bush and the rest of the squad pushed back on him. I can't do that. I can't do that. Oh, I did it. Take me to court. And he is being taken to court. Real quickly on the eviction moratorium. There are 10 million open jobs in this country right now. More than ever before. I don't see any reason at all that people can't go out and get a job and pay their damn rent. And a lot of these people who have been saving so much money on rent, their landlords are putting out on social media pictures of them pulling up in $60,000 luxury cars into their parking space at what is now their free rental property. There's a guy running for, I believe, mayor of Seattle who hasn't paid his rent in 14 months. And he's a city employee. But because there's a eviction moratorium, he's taken full advantage of it. He's also, by the way, raised a record amount of money from what are basically citizen vouchers for candidates for public office in Seattle. You're actually given money by the city to donate to political candidates. And this guy created a machine to go around door to door and collect vouchers that people hadn't turned in yet. And he's raised more money doing that than anyone ever had before. But yeah, we have a president basically, once again, completely overruling the Constitution if he can. If he decides he can. And I guess he learned well from his boss. DACA. Anyone? All right, let's look at the Epoch Times here. Moving right along. Okay, so some California news. By the way, Gavin Newsom had a press conference, I believe it was yesterday, with some local reporters, and he lost it. He absolutely lost it. He basically said, I'm tired of everyone outside of California bitching about our state. Look at all the great things I've done. Oh, you mean like the third worst COVID response in the country? That great thing that you did, the French Laundry, the kids going to private school while you shut down the rest of the schools in the state, things like that. That great job that you did. The fact that California actually lost population for the first time in its history from the last census and lost a congressional seat, or was it two? A state that sees the most homelessness and illegal aliens coming in continuously, and they actually lost population because of Newsom. And he's bragging about the great job he's done. He knows he's losing ground every day when it comes to the recall next month. Larry Elder has jumped up in the polls big time. For the first time, Larry Elder is actually in a position to win the recall election. And Newsom is feeling the heat, and he lost it with those reporters. And it was something to see. By the way, dog, I'm sorry you lost your power. I saw that earlier. I did not comment, and I apologize. I should have. I'm glad you got your power back. 15 hours. I don't know what I would do without power for 15 hours. I do not know what I would do. But anyway, so California. Seems that what we have here, article in the Epoch Times Premium section by Cynthia Kai. Locals in California City protest state vaccine mandates. Over 1,000 people gathered outside Kaiser Permanente in Roseville, California to protest the state's COVID-19 vaccine mandates and to call for, quote, freedom, not force. Organizers said the protest had an unprecedented turnout, with healthcare workers, law enforcement officials, and families standing all along Rocky Ridge Drive and Douglas Boulevard. Attendees could be seen holding American flags, as well as banners and signs calling for freedom of choice regarding vaccines. According to the California Department of Public Health's August 5th mandate, all California healthcare workers are required to, quote, have their first dose of a one-dose regimen or their second dose of a two-dose regimen by September 30th. Let's see here. A protest organizer said, quote, coercion is not consent, force is not freedom. Every human deserves the freedom to choose. Every human deserves the right to informed consent. And here's a picture of a big group of people lining the street. You can see a woman there in scrubs on the left-hand side of the screen there. Yeah, Kaiser Permanente is the largest healthcare system in California. That is actually an offshoot of the medical benefits from the Kaiser Aluminum Company, one of the biggest aluminum manufacturers in the world at one time, a very large employer in California, and ultimately they spun off their healthcare system into Kaiser Permanente, which is a massive healthcare group. See, quote, we demand employment to be free from coercion and discrimination, to decline the COVID vaccine and testing for healthcare workers, patients, and patient visitors. Nursing has always been about family-centered care, said the protest organizer. Sarah, co-founder of Healthcare Workers for Freedom, told NTD News, quote, we just wanted to show that not everybody is for this force that they're trying to push, that we all want freedom of choice. Doesn't matter what it is, choice is needed, especially in the healthcare field. Bodily autonomy, that's what it comes down to. Whether you choose to do something or not, it should be our choice. During the interview, it was explained that while the protest was held outside a Kaiser Permanente hospital, the purpose and message of the protest is about opposing the state mandates, not about Kaiser Permanente or the vaccines. Here's an interesting sign. Actually, it looks like a T-shirt, but I can't tell if it's a sign on the guy's back or if it's an actual printed T-shirt. But according to the caption of the picture, it says the protester wears a sign, and it's got a picture of a hypodermic needle with a drop coming off the on the end of the needle, and it has an X through it, and it reads, "No thanks, I'll stick to the control group of the experiment." Interesting. When asked what the next steps are, Sarah explained that the fight against the mandates will continue. If there are no changes, quote, "I foresee a lot of people leaving the industry." According to an article published by the Harvard Law School, under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, 21 U.S. Code, a required condition of authorizing medical products for emergency use is that individuals receiving the product must be informed of, quote, "the option to accept or refuse administration of the product, of the consequences, if any, of refusing administration of the product, and of the alternatives to the product that are available, and of their benefits and risks." So in other words, to boil that down, you have a right to informed consent. And if it's emergency use, which the vaccines are, according to U.S. Code 21, you have the right to refuse that treatment. Now, we talked about whether or not you can force someone to have a vaccine. And I said there don't seem to be any federal laws against it. We saw the students in Indiana, the college students, who have lost 2 court cases in a row against Indiana University requiring vaccinations, or you have to get tested twice a week and wear masks everywhere. And one of the court cases said that if the students didn't want to comply, then they could go to school somewhere else, basically. In other words, pound sand. And we discussed how there's 2 weeks to go till the start of classes pretty much everywhere in the country. There's no way you can get into a new college in 2 weeks. Admissions were months ago. So that ruling was a complete just shove in the face of those students. They're pushing it all the way up. I don't know how that's going to go. I really don't. I don't know enough about federal law regarding emergency use, but if reading this right here from the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, that does seem to be a precluder to forced vaccinations of a emergency use product. Ghost 3057 says in the Trovo chat, if no one takes the vaccine, COVID will spread uncontrollably. Well, actually, I'm going to push back on the other Ghost. COVID is spreading uncontrollably, especially in vaccinated countries. And case in point, Israel. Israel led the world in vaccinations from the word go. I mean, they instituted the shot in a shot program where you could literally go to a bar, get an injection, and get a free shot. And they vaccinated more people more quickly than any other country in the world. And now Israel is looking at its possible 3rd set of lockdowns because the Delta variant is just running throughout the country like a wildfire. Now, the good news is the Delta variant is not anymore, in fact, could be less deadly than the original variant. But it is much, 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 much more contagious. The Delta variant has 1,000 times more the viral load than the original variant. So some people are saying it blows through masks. Even an N95 isn't a guarantee of a decent amount of protection from the Delta variant. Now, it's also shown that the vaccine, while it may not keep you from getting the Delta variant and becoming symptomatic, it is incredibly effective in keeping you out of the hospital, or even for you suffering more than mild symptoms. The vast majority of hospitalizations are of the unvaccinated. So that is a thing. But let me say one more thing about that. This virus is never going away, because unlike other things, like, I should say, unlike smallpox, which is the only virus we've ever wiped out completely. COVID, like the flu and the common cold, have animal reservoirs. Household pets can transmit COVID, just like they can transmit a cold or the flu. There were those minks in Denmark. The entire mink population was infected with COVID, and they basically just buried them all alive. So COVID's never going away. The only hope you can have is to either be vaccinated against it or get it and then have natural immunity and hope it lasts. That's basically it. Those are your two options. and you are right. Yes, there is no cure. There is absolutely no cure for COVID. No, but there are therapeutics, of course. The FDA just came out and approved one of the monoclonal antibody treatments that Trump received last year. That's been approved by the FDA. And of course, there are other drugs that I can't discuss while on YouTube that some doctors have shown to have effectiveness in being either prophylactics or reducing symptoms after exposure. But YouTube, of course, you can't talk about those because YouTube's idiots think they're doctors. But so that is all a thing. That is all a thing. But yeah, no, there's no more cure. There's no more cure for COVID than there is for the common cold. And I will say this is one of the things that Trump did last year that did not age well, because you remember he said often, and one day it's going to be gone. It'll disappear. And we all prayed he was right, but that ain't the case. The science is now saying COVID's going to be with us from here on out. And it's just a matter of taking care of yourself. Boost your immune system as best you can. Stay healthy. Vitamin B, zinc, vitamin C, and eat properly. Just keep your weight down. Keep your lungs healthy. And take care of yourself. That's yeah. I am a big proponent of vaccines. I always have been. I was pretty big in the pushback against the anti-vax movement back in the 2015 to 2019 when that really got big. I was pushing back against that pretty hard on my YouTube channel. And I still am a big proponent of vaccines. My personal vaccination status as it relates to COVID is not important. I will say that one of my doctors did tell me right away, quote, "You will get the vaccine." So I was warned by a medical professional that I had no choice. Now, I do have a choice. We all have a choice. But just say that I am in a cohort where COVID would be potentially devastating. But again, my status is not important. I would just say, talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor. All right, YouTube, I've had it with you. You're gone. I will be back Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm taking tomorrow off from both the morning and afternoon show. I'm just going to try and get rid of the stress of the 2-a-days and recharge my batteries, see if I can get some sleep, and hopefully we'll all be better. But YouTube, your days are numbered. I'm probably 90% sure I'm going to leave at the end of the month. So you can see there the pinned comment in the chat, the links to my DLive and Trovo channels. They also have apps available for your mobile devices of any stripe. Please consider doing that. I was able to get Ghost to move over from YouTube to Trovo, and I haven't heard any complaints from Ghost yet, so I guess Trovo's treating him well at present, and it will do the same. I prefer DLive personally. I've been on it longer. I know more about it, but both DLive and Trovo allow you to receive microcurrency just as they would allow me to from you, as opposed to YouTube, which demonetized me months ago. And of course, you don't get any money on YouTube. You don't make a dime on YouTube being there, whereas you can get some of the currency back being in the Trovo chat or being in the DLive chat. And every so often on DLive, I can hand out some of the microcurrency. And Trovo has drawings, if you will, electronic drawings, where certain random people are chosen out of the hat, and they receive a bonus from its currency. So it's all good. It's all good. But screw YouTube. I'm tired. I've had it. YouTube's lucky I'm staying until the end of the month. But that's it, folks. Bye bye. You're gone. All right. And YouTube is